The observation deck of the Celestial Harmony hummed with tension as Lieutenant Arya Ven pressed her palm against the reinforced glass. Beyond the barrier, two creatures prowled in calculated circles. Cubs, they were called, though each stood nearly 2 meters tall at the shoulder. Their obsidian fur rippled like liquid shadow, and their eyes glowed with an eerie amber light that seemed to pierce through matter itself. "Lieutenant, I must insist you reconsider." Commander Zixathera's scales flashed crimson, a clear sign of distress among the Cerelian species. His forearms gestured frantically at the monitoring screens. "The Varathian young are not like Earth mammals. They are apex predators from birth. Sentient, yes, but driven by instincts we barely understand." Arya didn't turn away from the window. She'd studied the reports during the 3-month journey to the neutral station. The Varathians, a species humanity had encountered only twice before, both encounters ending in tense standoffs. Their young were abandoned on designated worlds to survive alone until maturity, a ritual that had remained sacred and untouched by galactic law for millennia, until a Cerelian mining operation had accidentally invaded one such nursery world. "They're starving," Arya said quietly, watching as the smaller of the two cubs, Velka, according to the genetic markers, stumbled slightly. The Cerelian equipment disrupted the planetary ecosystem. The prey animals have migrated away from this region, which is precisely why adult Varathians are en route to retrieve them, Zixathera countered, and why they have threatened war if any species interferes with their young. "Lieutenant, your people may have a reputation for recklessness, but this is the right thing to do." Arya finally turned to face the commander. Her gray eyes held a determination that made the veteran officer's primary heart sink. Humans. They were all the same, hopelessly driven by emotion over logic. "We cause this problem, we fix it. That's the human way." Before Zixathera could protest further, Arya had already moved toward the airlock. The station's council had debated for weeks. The adult Varathians had made their stance clear. Any species that touched their young would be considered an enemy of their entire civilization. Yet watching the cubs slowly weaken from starvation was too much for several council members to bear. The Cerelians advocated for automated drones to deliver food. The insectoid Kree suggested terraforming adjustments to lure prey back. Arya had proposed the simplest solution. She would deliver the food herself. The airlock hissed open, and the scent of alien soil filled her nostrils. The cubs' heads snapped toward her in perfect unison, their lips curling back to reveal rows of crystalline teeth that could shred through starship hull plating. Tor, the larger male, released a sound that was part growl, part subsonic rumble that Arya felt in her bones. She took a careful step forward, dragging a container of synthesized meat behind her. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to retreat to safety. But she'd learned long ago that instinct wasn't always wisdom. "Easy," she whispered, knowing they wouldn't understand the words, but hoping the tone carried meaning. "I'm here to help." Tor lunged forward, closing half the distance in a heartbeat. Arya froze. The cub's massive head lowered, nostrils flaring as he sampled her scent. She could see her reflection in those amber eyes, small, fragile, utterly defenseless. Then Velka moved, circling to Arya's left. They were coordinating, hunting. Arya slowly knelt, her hands trembling only slightly as she opened the container. The rich scent of meat wafted into the air. Tor's ears, swept back in aggression, suddenly perked forward. Velka's growl stuttered into something almost like a questioning chirp. "See?" Arya pushed the container forward. "Food, no tricks. No traps." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Velka darted forward, seized a chunk of meat, and retreated to a safe distance. Tor followed more cautiously, his eyes never leaving Arya's face. She stayed kneeling as they ate, fighting every urge to move or flee. When the container was empty, she slowly stood and backed toward the airlock. Tor moved to follow. "No, wait." Arya raised a hand. To her shock, the cub halted. Their eyes met again, and something passed between them. Understanding? Recognition? She couldn't be sure. The next day, Arya returned with more food. And the day after that, each time the cub seemed less aggressive, more curious. By the end of the first week, they no longer circled her like prey. By the second week, Velka had allowed Arya to touch her shoulder while she ate. Commander Zixathera watched from the observation deck, all 4 hands pressed against the glass in disbelief. "This is unprecedented," he whispered. "Varathians don't bond with other species. They don't even bond with each other outside their immediate family units. But bond they did." On the 18th day, a diplomatic crisis erupted. 3 Kree engineers, ignoring council protocols, had attempted to enter the Cubs' habitat to repair monitoring equipment. Arya had been in her quarters when the alarm sounded. By the time she reached the observation deck, the situation had deteriorated. Tor and Velka had the engineers cornered, their bodies coiled to strike. The Kree were broadcasting distress signals in frequencies that hurt Arya's ears even through the station walls. "We need to send in security drones," Zixthera was saying. "Stun them before they kill—" "No." Arya was already running toward the airlock. "That'll make it worse." She emerged into the habitat at a sprint, shouting the Cubs' names. Both Varathians' heads swiveled toward her, and for a terrible moment she thought she'd miscalculated. Their eyes were wild, their hunting instincts fully engaged. Then Velka broke away from the Kree and bounded to Arya's side. Tor followed, taking up position on her other flank. They positioned themselves between Arya and the engineers, their growls now directed at the intruders rather than at their cornered prey. The Kree escaped through the maintenance tunnel, and Arya found herself standing in the center of the habitat with 2 massive predators pressed against her sides, their bodies vibrating with protective aggression. "Well," she murmured, running her hands through their impossibly soft fur, "I guess we're a pack now." The adult Varathians arrived 3 weeks later, massive warships that made the Celestial Harmony look like a child's toy. Arya stood in the habitat flanked by Tor and Velka as the first adult materialized in a transport beam. The creature was enormous, easily 5 meters tall, with fur that seemed to absorb light itself. Its eyes fixed on Arya with an intensity that should have been terrifying. "You touched our young," the Varathian rumbled. Its voice translated through multiple harmonic frequencies. "I fed them," Arya replied steadily. "They were dying. We warned your kind. All kinds, to stay away." "I know." Arya felt Tor press closer against her leg. "But I'm human. We don't abandon children no matter what species they belong to." The adult Varathian stared at her for what felt like an eternity. Then slowly it lowered its massive head in what might have been a nod, or a bow. "The Cubs have chosen you as their pack sister," it said. "In Varathian culture, this bond is unbreakable. Where you go, they will follow. What threatens you, they will destroy." Arya glanced down at Tor and Velka, at the amber eyes that now watched her with something unmistakably like love. "I can think of worse fates," she said with a smile. The Varathian's lips pulled back, revealing teeth that could bite a shuttle in half. Arya realized with a start that the creature was smiling too. From that day forward, Lieutenant Arya Ven never walked alone. Day and night, through diplomatic missions and dangerous salvage operations, 2 shadows followed. The galaxy learned quickly: harm a human under Varathian protection, and face the fury of an entire warrior species. All because one human had done what humans do best: choose compassion over caution, connection over fear.